Welcome to the first part of the yoga lesson for Sunday, the 17th of October. Today, I'd like you to start by either kneeling or sitting. If you wish to, you can sit on a chair or a stool. And we're just going to practice working on the neck and the head. So to begin with, just relax your facial muscles just for a second and drop your jaw slightly and feel your soft palate relaxing at the back of your mouth. Good. Now, all I want you to do is to look forwards without having any tension in the face or the facial muscles at all. Just turn your head to one side and see how far you can turn it. Stay there for a few more moments and make a note of any aches and pains that seem to be emanating from the neck. And then look forwards and do the same going the other way. Just turn the head, look as far as you can to that side. Hold it there for a few more moments. Keep the facial muscles relaxed as well as the jaw. And then face the front. So a little faster this time to one way. Center to the other way. And center. Now we're going to do a little exercise lying down now, which can be described as a vagus nerve reset. And it's a way to just let your autonomic system just relax and calm down. And it's done in a lying position on your back. And it involves putting your hands behind your head and moving your eyes. So what we're going to do in a moment, I'll just turn slightly to one side. We're going to interlace the fingers behind the head like this and drop the elbows back onto the floor as we're lying on our backs. If you find that one of your shoulders is stiff and it doesn't really want to let that elbow or that arm go back, prop the elbow up by putting a cushion or something underneath it so that it doesn't have to go all the way down to the floor. So the way I'm going to do this myself is to lie like this. Just watch first in the constructive rest pose. And then what I'm going to do is simply interlace my fingers, take my head up and just cradle my head in my palms and drop my elbows to the floor. And as I said, if you feel that the elbow of one arm is not easily going down or it pinches the shoulder somehow, just put something underneath it so it doesn't have to go down quite so far and release it. Okay, so feet flat, relax your back. At all times with this, keep looking up at the ceiling or the sky above you. To begin with, relax your abdomen. Be aware of your rib cage and the diaphragm initiating the breath. Once you feel settled and relaxed and centered, keep looking up above you. And now turn your eyes and look to the right as far as you can without moving your head, just your eyes. Look to the right and hold that for 30 seconds. Keep looking to the right. Then look up. Okay. And then we're going to do that again. But this time we're going to turn our eyes to look left. So 30 seconds, turn your eyes as far as you can to the left and look left. And then look up. And close your eyes for a moment. Notice if you felt the need to sigh or breathe out strongly, or if you felt some change in your breath as you were doing that. And then unclasp your hands behind your head and very slowly roll and sit up or kneel up. And then do the same thing that we did at the very beginning. Turn your head one way. And then center. Turn your head the other way. And then center. Now you might have felt, as I just did, that by doing that little eye exercise, lying on the floor with the arms behind the head, or the hands behind the head, that the second time you turned the head, you could go further, or that it was easier. It certainly was just now for me. That little exercise is another way of just stimulating the vagus nerve. We talked about the vagus nerve in the past, but as you know, it starts off in the brain and it works down through the body, connecting and relating to all kinds of the visceral organs of the body, including the heart, the lungs, and the digestive system, amongst other things. And it's the nerve which you use very often to stimulate the fight or flight response. But by calming that and sending the message to it to relax and relieve that kind of tension, you often find that the heart slows down and the breathing slows down, the blood pressure reduces, and the digestive system calms down. It's no coincidence that when we're tense, when we're nervous, when we're frightened, our digestive systems react very strongly, sometimes causing cramps, sometimes causing us the need to go to the toilet, and sometimes even to vomit. But certainly not a comfortable position for the digestive system to be in. So if you want to relax the body by just stimulating the vagus nerve, that's one way of doing it. Another way, as we said in the past, is to hum, or to sing, or to laugh. Another way is to have a cold shower, or if that's too much for you, splash cold water on your face. Okay, so we'll come back to that at a later point, but for the time being, let's move on from where we are now. So let's just focus on the eyes for a little longer. Look in front of you. Now imagine your face is the center of a clock. So without moving your head or face at all, just look up at 12 o'clock. You might need to raise your eyebrows, make you look higher. Now look down at 6 o'clock. Now look at 3 o'clock. And 9. 12 and 6 and 3 and 9 and center. Look into the distance and just soften your gaze. Now look at the end of your nose. Look at the distance and at the end of your nose. Distance. And then circle your eyes. Draw huge circles with your eyes going one way. Imagine that the pupil is making the biggest circle it can. And then go the other way. And then look into the distance again. Good. Then take the arms out, sitting or kneeling, put them behind your head. Bring your elbows forwards and drop your chin. Just exert a little pressure downwards from your hands, and then try to raise your head, but don't allow that to happen by putting a little more on the arms. Don't overdo it, just a small amount of pressure is all that's needed. And then come up. Okay, and then come into the kneeling position. If you can't do this in a kneeling position because it's uncomfortable for your feet or ankles or around your knees, do this sitting on a chair. Take your hands behind your head again. This time I want you to drop forwards and try to bring your forehead as close to your knees as possible. And then slowly come up. And now for the next one, you might need a strap. So I'll get mine to remind you how to do this. You don't have to have a strap for this. You might also want a little pad for your head in front of you. We're going to do the rabbit pose. The way I would do this using a strap, I would take it behind me like this. Lean forward and just drop my forehead onto the floor, and then just push my hips forwards and have this strap underneath the soles of my feet, or even better still, towards the heels themselves. And then I've got the weight of my head on my knees and
feet, and I'm pulling forwards and holding on with my hands, feeling my shoulders and my upper back behind me stretching from side to side, opening that up. As you do this, relax your abdomen. And then release, come down, and just relax in child's pose. Pop the strap to one side, take your arms in front of you, widen your knees slightly, and stretch your arms out as far as you can in front of you, with your forehead near or on the floor, and your seat close to your heels. What we're going to do now is just work on the opposite direction of the back. So look forwards in front of you, keeping low. Push your shoulders down to the floor. And then come up, keeping your arms straight. And just drop your hips down to the floor and look forward and slightly up. And then look to your left. And to your right. Go again, left. And right. And center. And lift your head a little bit more. And now work your way back. Seat going down to the heels, arms stretched out in front of you, and work there. Okay. Then we're going to just work a little bit more on the back. And the way we're going to do this is to take one arm through underneath us, like this. And this hand will be here with the elbow up. And we'll be looking to the side. So just to remind you, it works like this. I come down like this on my forearms with my seat quite high. And then I take my, in this case, right hand through towards you with my knuckles on the floor. I drop my right shoulder onto the floor and look left, lift my left elbow so I can look under the arm and push my right fingertips as far left as possible, keeping my seat high as I do it. So I'm taking the weight here on the outer side of my right arm and shoulder and my left hand, palm. I'm opening up the elbow by raising it, and I can feel the stretch into my left chest as well, and shoulder. And hold that while you breathe very gently, naturally. And then, when you're ready to drop your left elbow to the floor and push yourself up. All right, and then treat this exactly the same the other way. So start off kneeling, seat high, forearms on the floor. Take your left arm through as far as you can to the right. Drop your left temple to the floor. Raise your right elbow and push your left fingers a little bit further out to the right. And keep the elbow high as you take the weight on your left arm, outer arm and shoulder, and feel the stretch going into your right arm and shoulder and a little bit of the chest. So this continues the work we were doing a moment ago when we were stretching the back.
by putting the strap underneath the feet, pushing the seat forward, hanging on with our hands, and you felt the upper back in line with the shoulder blades, really opening into the upper arms and shoulders themselves. Okay, and then come up and go back to the floor with your arms in front of you and your forehead on the floor, and then look forwards, come up, rocking up, and drop the hips forwards and through, looking forwards. And then on the out breath, turn to the right, as far as you can. Okay, and then to the left, as far as you can. Perfect. To the center, lift the chin. And then lift up the seat and come back. That stop place again. Good. Now for the next thing, which is a little bit more tricky, you might need some extra cushioning for your knees. So I'm going to get a little blanket to put onto my knee to do this. I'm going to do it facing you. There is a sideways position in the form of balance, which looks very difficult, but actually is probably for many people easier than it appears to be. If, however, you feel it's not for you, or you can find this difficult to do in an open space, then do this with your back against a wall. You're going to have one hand and one knee and its corresponding foot on the floor, but you're going to be lifting the other leg and the arm connected together and pull them up sideways and above you. So if I can just slightly angle myself here. So I'm going to do my left leg first. So I'm going to place my right hand here. And I'm going to take my left leg back and bring it behind me. You see it's going behind me here. And just take a little bit of weight now on the hand, the right hand, and reach back with my left hand to grab my left foot. Now I'm going to turn to the side and push the left knee and foot back as far as I can get them. So if you wanted some help, you would do this with your back and your lifted foot towards the wall. There we are. And then when you've done that, you simply come to center and come straight out of it. All right? So, again, if you're using the wall, your back is going to be turned the other way this time. So I'm going to have my left hand, that'll be close to the wall, and my left knee close to the wall. My right leg's going to come up. The right toes will probably touch the wall now. If you're using that to support you, you take a moment to raise your right arm, grab hold of the foot or the ankle, and then push the knee and foot away from you and look sideways as you do it. And then come out of it and release. You might want to just stretch your wrists back the other way, or maybe put the backs of the hands together and bring your elbows down. So you stretch the back of your wrist and bring your fingertips into your palms as well, because that will be the opposite of doing that to your hands. So just do that, and then bring your fingertips into your palms and just push your elbows down a little bit more to increase the stretch. Bring your fingers as well. Now there's another version of that,
where we hold the opposite foot, but this time we don't turn sideways, we look forwards. So again, you can always use the wall on one side of you to support you if you feel that's necessary. And the way this one works, so if I've got my right hand on the floor, I'm not going to put my right knee on the floor, I'm going to put my left knee on the floor. And this time I look forwards all the time, so I'm going to bring my right leg back. Remember, my right hand's in front of me. Lift the right leg up, bend the knee, and bring the foot over to the left. I reach back with my left hand, get hold of the foot, look forwards, and push the foot away from me as far as I can. So it's there. Holding it steadily for 20 or 30 seconds if I can. And then when I've done it, I let go, bring my hand down, come upright again. And then I try the same with the other. So this time I'm going to have my left hand on the floor. Therefore, my left leg goes back. I bring the left leg up, bend the knee and bring the foot over to the right. Look forwards, reach back with my right hand, grab the foot, look forwards, lifting my head, looking forwards, and push the back foot away from me at the back and hold on with that back hand. And then we release and come back and come into child's pose with the arms behind us. There's a kind of version of this, by the way, which you can do. Excuse me while I just take my top off here. There's another version of this you can do lying on the floor. And this version means that you have to quickly raise one leg up behind you to the ceiling, and at the same time bend the underneath leg and pop the foot just underneath the raised leg. Let me show you. So if I start right down here with my arms back like this, I'm going to raise my right leg and bend my left knee and try to get the foot underneath the right leg. So up it goes, and I pop the foot underneath there. Down. Do the left one now. So the left one goes up, and I pop the foot there. And you can do it more gently by just putting the foot underneath the shin. So it could be there, for example, and there. For some people, you can get it much higher, up towards the thigh. And another way to help yourself is to bend the elbows, put the fists just in line with the top of your pelvic girdle, point the elbows to the ceiling, and then on a big inhalation, lift up a little. We go and keep breathing. And there. And then, as you hold it for a little while, come down and do the same with the other leg. Lift it up and hold it down. Bring it down. And then when you've done any of those, just bring your arms to the front, turn your head to the side, like so, and then after a while, turn your head the other way. Well done.
So let's gently release from that and come up and sit up or kneel up once again. Good. So now you can feel that we've rounded the back, we've stretched behind us, we've turned to one side, especially in the upper body, and we've stretched the front, and we've done two quite demanding balances on one hand and one knee. Okay, let's go a little bit higher now. Let's come up into a high knee position and come to one end of your mat. Again, if you feel that your knees are not going to like this, give them a little bit more cushioning. So here we are at one end of the mat, turn sideways on, and I'm going to take one leg out here, like this. Now let's just have a little practice of what we can do with this hip. As you can see, my foot's extended like this, my knee is facing the ceiling. So I'm trying to now make my knee face you. So there it goes, by lifting this hip and pushing this top hip forwards. So it's going from there to there. So now my hips are square, in line with each other this way. The knee is facing you. If I tilt the foot in a little bit more, it's definitely facing that way. Whereas if I drop the hip, the foot slides out and the knee definitely faces above here. So let's take the hand on the hip so we can give it a little bit of help. So going to make it go forwards and up, knee facing forwards, and then back down, turn the foot out. Here, you feel that stretch into this inside of the leg here and inside the hip, compressing it a little bit, and then back down there. One more, so turn and really lift the hip and point the knee forwards, and to the foot out, and the knee faces upwards, and the hip drops. You can see how I drop physically down. My shoulder's going down here. I'll do that, the shoulder's being pushed up, simply because I'm letting the hip raise as well. Okay, now, what I'd like you to do from here is to keep that high hip position with the knee facing forwards. Take your arm out and take this arm up to the ceiling. Now, you won't be able to go very far, but try your best. Go over to the side, still with that extended legs and knee facing forwards, not up to the ceiling, and your hip not dropped. Okay, so that's quite a fine movement. You can't go very far. Okay, now keeping that top arm where it is, turn that extended legs foot outwards, make the knee face the ceiling and drop the hip, and now start to slide. Come down the leg. See how far you can get. Pushing that arm and possibly getting that top arm parallel with the floor. Okay, there. Feel what's going on at that extended leg as well as your lifted arms side. Okay, and then up goes the arm first, push away from the front foot, and be back to where you started. Okay, so I'm going to switch sides. You don't have to, of course, but I'll do that so I can see you. Okay, so our leg goes out, and we practice that hip motion first. So first of all, the knee is facing the ceiling and the foot's turned right out like that. And then I'm going to push the hip up and make it go forward, turn the toes towards you, and now the knee is facing you. So it's there, and then there. So turn and lift the hip, and turn out and drop the hip. Again,
one way. And the other way. One way. And the other way. Last time. There. And they stay there, so the knees facing forwards, the toes are turned inwards, lift the arm, and see how far you can get. Not very far. Work only on that plane, or in that plane. Okay, you can feel it's being restricted simply because that top hip is lifted and the rib cage is close to the top of the pelvis. Now we're going to turn this foot out, let the knee face the ceiling a bit more, and then start sliding down. Opening up here. Try to keep that arm extended and the palm facing the floor. And try to push the fingers away from the top of your head. So ideally your arm will be parallel with the floor. So hold it there. And then release, stretch up the ceiling as high as you can, and then lower. Good. And then you might want to use a block. I'm going to use just a little pad. Turn that pad there. So come to the kneeling position here, and then with your block or your pad, just sit with one sit bone to one side, so you can see both feet to the other side. Let me just turn, so you can see a bit more clearly. There you go. So both my feet are there, I can see both of them there, and I'm going to hold this outside ankle, lift up this top arm, and then pull myself over to the side. If you feel this is very easy, you don't have to sit on this pad, you can just sit on the floor. And then that stretch will be made a little bit more demanding. You might want to turn your head slightly underneath your top arm to gaze upwards slightly. Nice, gentle and opening rib breaths. Feel those intercostal muscles between the ribs really being opened up and lengthened. And the fascia connecting everything else. And then come up and release. Okay. Again, if you feel you want something to support you, pop it to the other side, sit on it or sit on the floor, as I'm doing. Grab hold of the outside ankle once again. Try to keep the knees together. Lift up that top arm and then turn and just slightly turn your head underneath the top arm. There. And then a bit of mindful breathing so you can really feel these rib cage areas here opening up and the intercostal muscles and the fascia being lengthened. Okay. Come up, raise the arm as high as you can first before coming down. Okay. Again, you might want to use this for your forearm now. So you can see where we're going here. We're going to go from stretching to strengthening. So put it there. So all we're going to do is just bend the underneath leg, put the top leg there, make sure your knees are stacked one over the other. This underneath leg is bent so that it can provide a little bit of security for me and balance.
so that I've got the foot to press into behind me. And then I simply lift up the hip, take my arm up and point it to the ceiling. My face looking sideways, take the arm over my head and count to 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 by your side. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Release. And then push away from the elbow. So you're stretching again that lowered hip side. Take your opposite ear, so my right elbow is on the floor. Take your left ear, in this case, over to your left shoulder. And then release. Okay. And then turn around. My left knee is stacked underneath my right knee. And the left foot's pointing out backwards. I'm ready. So I'll just cover this a bit more. Otherwise my arm's going to disappear through the door. There we are. Ready? So we go up and lift. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and release. Come up and circle your shoulders and elbows to release those muscles. Okay, and then we'll take ourselves onto our fronts again. You can use this to support your elbows and forearms, and we'll do a supported plank pose. So forearms and elbows on the pad or on the mat. I like to clasp my fingers together. You don't have to if you don't want to, just put your hands flat. And then keeping your knees on the floor and the feet as well. You're going to lift your hips up and hold it there. So push away from your elbows first with your shoulders, and then lift. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Straighten your right leg, toes on the floor. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right knee down. Left leg straightens, toes on the floor. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And down. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Drop your hips, drop everything else. Put your forehead on your nearer forearm. Excellent. Then when you're ready to just roll round and sit up. And then sitting sideways like this on the length of your mat and feet flat and body upright. And then taking your arms back, take your right foot just down from your left knee, so there. And if that's hard, slide your left foot away a bit further. You see that? And flex the ankle of your right foot. And then push your shoulders backwards and project your chest forwards so you can feel your shoulder blades coming together behind you, opening up behind you. If that's okay, then just bring your left foot in a little bit further towards you. Again, flexing that right ankle
and then push your shoulders back. And if that feels okay, bring your foot a little bit further in towards you on the floor there, and the same again. So what you're working on is opening up and stretching the hip of the right side and the piriformis muscle there. Don't forget to keep flexing the ankle of the lifted foot, as I am there. All right? I think it's about as far as I want to go at the moment. And then if you want to release it, the easiest way is to relax that ankle and slide your lower foot away from you. Okay, I'll do it at a slightly different angle this time. So I lifted my right leg this time, and then lift my left leg this time. So there's the left leg, and flex the ankle, push away from behind, and see if that's okay. If it's okay, bring the right foot in a bit further, and continue to flex the ankle while also pushing away from behind you and bringing the shoulder blades towards each other and opening up the chest and the shoulders in front. There. Good. Don't forget to keep that flexed ankle in operation. Wonderful. And then just release that and come down and have your 2 feet in front of you, bending the knees outwards so that the soles of the feet are touching. Slide your feet away so you form a big diamond shape in front of you. Slide forwards, grab the outside of your toes, pull your nose towards your big toes, a long way away, then drop your head down, pull gently. See how far you can drop the head down towards the floor behind your heels. Hold it there for a little while, and if you want to, you can come up as I've just done to give it a little bit of rest. And then again, just ease your way down, finally dropping the head down and bring the forehead close to the floor. Or even on the floor if you can get that far. Okay, slowly come up and sit down. Good. Okay, so now let's take that idea of opening up the hips and the outsides of the legs as well as the insides of the legs. We'll do one leg at a time for this. So bring one foot in. If that feels very uncomfortable on this knee, just pop it out straight like this and just forget about it. Okay, but bring it in if you can. Take the other big toe, so your knuckles are facing inwards. So that's my left big toe, that's my left hand. My left knuckles are facing to the right. And I can put my right hand on the floor outside my right hip. Lift up the leg and take the leg out to the left. So there's my left leg going out to the left there. I'm just trying to straighten the knee. You might find, if you just give it some time, that finally you'll be able to straighten the knee and relax the thigh muscle. There, it's just gone there. And if you want to try to lift it further, don't bend your elbow, just pull your shoulder back. You'll see, look, if I do that, look, it goes up, not very much, but 2 or 3 inches, and it lifts it up higher there. Don't drop your chin, and make sure you're sitting on both sit bones, not one of them. Don't tilt over to one side like this. So make sure it's centered. So the leg lifted up and pulled out to the side face. Okay, from there to there. Really relaxing the shoulder and the elbow at the same time. Your shoulder backwards and you'll lift the leg a bit higher. Pop that down and then change legs. Do exactly the same the other side. Grab hold of your big toe, knuckles facing to the left this time, the other way. And then sit up tall. Up comes the leg. out goes the leg, and then we lift it up first and gently try to persuade it to lengthen. And with a bit of luck, we might be able to get the knee straightened, but not tense. The muscles of the thigh relaxed, the shoulder relaxed, pulling the shoulder and the back muscles to lift the leg a bit more, and keeping upright at all times. There's the use of the hand here to make sure we don't wobble. Good. Now, of course, you can do it with both legs. Now, there are two ways of doing this. In fact, there are three, but we're going to just remind you about two of them. One is to do it where you're sitting now. So that would be to sit like this, making sure that if you roll backwards, you're not going to hit your head or anything else on the floor or on the wall behind you. So sitting like this, taking up both feet at the same time, and very slowly and keeping that sense of balance, trying to widen the legs. Don't worry if you can't straighten the knees, it's perfectly okay. Even if your knees are considerably bent, that's as far as you can get, that's as far as you can get. The arms are straight then, the elbows aren't locked, so just straighten out if you can. If you're lucky, you might be able to get the legs completely straight and the thighs very relaxed. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to do it on your back. So therefore, there will be no chance of falling because you're already on the floor. And the best way to get into this is to raise your seat a little bit first. So I'm going to use a rather fat pad, but you can use a bolster as well, or you can use a block, maybe cover the block up. It's a bit too harsh underneath your back. The way you do it is to put your sacrum on that lifted pad of whatever. It can be as high as you want to, really. Lift up the legs. Again, grab your toes like this. Try to straighten your legs in this position. And then from there, what I focus on is trying to bring my sacrum close to the floor. So it's quite high up there. And I do it like that. So if I think I can manage it, I can either remove this entirely or make the pad less high, and then see if I can keep as much of my lower back, my sacrum, my pelvis on the floor, as I hang on to my feet like this and try to lower a bit more. Can you see? I don't know if you can see from your angle, but I've got definitely my lumbar region on the floor. I don't think my sacrum is really quite there yet. So that means that if I'm doing this in a seated position, what will be happening is I'll be leaning back, or rather rounding that lower part of my back into the sacrum. So the more I hold on like this, I can try to relax my lower back and my sit bones and my coccyx into the floor. They won't go in a hurry, but I can actually feel it starting to happen now. But anyway, this makes sure that you don't have to worry about falling backwards in or from the balanced position. And when you've done that, just release there and go into constructive rest pose with your feet flat and your arms by your sides. Take a couple of big breaths. And then going back to that little reset that we did, the vagus nerve reset. Take your arms up, clasp them together, fingers cradle your head, and drop your elbows down into the floor and relax there. And let go. Okay.
Okay, and then keeping your nose and the rest of your face looking upwards, turn your eyes to the right as far as you can for 30 seconds. Up. Don't move anything, just the eyes, look to the left as far as you can for 30 seconds. Up. Unclasp your hands from behind your head and bring them down by your sides. Again, in constructive rest pose with feet still flat. And just work on the breath. So taking your arms up, and put them on the floor behind you on the in-breath. And on the out-breath, bring them back up and down by your sides and put them on the floor on the out-breath. Ready? Here we go. Through your nose, in. Through your mouth, out. And in. And out. And in. And out. Last time, breathe in. And out. Wonderful. Stay where you are. Lift up your hands and put your fingertips on your thighs. Okay. Now, if you lift up your head, you'll see where your fingers are in relation to your thighs. Mine are just below my knees, probably a couple of inches or so. So I'm going to try to get my fingertips on my knees by lifting up and pressing my lumbar spine to the floor and trying to stretch my fingertips onto my knee tops and hold there. So you've got the whole of your thoracic spine, or most of it at least, lifted off the floor, and you're looking between your bent legs forwards. Press your lumbar spine down and count to 10. 5, 10, and slide down again. Now, that was actually 20 because you had to wait for 10 while I was explaining things to you, but we were holding the position at the same time. So this time we're going to do it without any explanation, you know what to do, and hold it for 20. Ready? So, head on the floor, fingertips on your thighs. Lift up your head, look forwards, and raise the upper body, put the fingertips on top of your knees. Lower. Arms by your sides and just turn your palms up and relax. Big releasing breath. Slide your arms out a bit more widely. Then drop your 2 knees down to the left. Just let everything relax. Your left outside leg will probably hit the floor entirely, as will the outer left foot, and the inside of the right foot will be on the floor. And then push more firmly onto the inside of your right foot. See if you can lift your right hip up higher, your right knee down towards the left a bit more. And then come up, and then do the same on the other side. So roll and drop your 2 knees down to the right. Right outside leg will hit the floor, and push into your left leg, left foot I should say, and try to push your left knee inside down to the right knee or right leg. Wonderful. Slowly release and come up and center there. Bring your arms back to your sides. Okay, and then when you've got a moment, slowly sit up, get some padding, so a cushion, a couple of cushions, a block, a couple of blocks, a bolster, a pile of blankets, anything to raise your sacrum. I'm going to use my bolster, but you can improvise with all kinds of things here. And come into that nice extend position. So we get the sacrum on the surface here. We extend one and then the other legs like so, pushing the legs away from us and really extending them, taking the arms round and stretch away from us to the top of the head and really extending the body like that. Now in this position, try to really relax your abdominal area. So as you breathe out, feeling all that area just relaxing and extending. As you breathe in, however, try to push your abdominal area up towards the ceiling. So have it on its way. So use the diaphragm, extend your belly up towards the ceiling, and then as you breathe out, let it collapse into the spine beneath. Keep pushing the arms and feet away from you. One more time. Okay, then bring your arms back to your sides. Bend the knees so the feet are flat. Again, your sacrum's still on the surface together with your pelvis, and then lift up the feet so the thighs are vertical, and then see if you can just straighten your legs entirely and get them into balance. And just hold them there and allow the sense of complete balance to work into the legs. So they feel almost weightless. If you get them in the right position, you find you're making no effort at all from the lower back or indeed from anywhere else. Just find the moment where you find the balance there. And work into that extension again. So your arms over your head on the floor behind you, and keeping your left leg where it is, still pointing at the ceiling. Allow your right leg to slowly come down, very, very slowly, until the foot gets to the ground. You might have to bend your knee slightly there. Try to keep that left leg vertical. Up goes the right leg, and we just do the same on the other leg. So right leg stays vertical, the left leg comes down. You might have to bend the knee. If your pelvis is lifted high, it'll be hard to keep that right leg vertical. Right leg joins the left leg. Everything extends away from the center. Big breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And when you're ready to just relax the shoulders and arms, bring them back to your side, bring the feet in, lift your pelvis up, push the support away from you, and come down into constructive rest pose once again. And then when you're ready to, take one more big breath in and out. Then drop your two knees down to the left, roll to your left, use your right hand in front of you to push up, and finally sit up. And come into a seated position if you can, in easy pose, with your hands cupped in your lap. Just find that comfortable upright position, not rounding or slouching back, but feeling balanced. If you want to raise your seat, it makes that straight back position a little bit more doable for some people. Well done. And relax your soft palate. Now, I hope what you found in this first half is that everything feels more relaxed and centered. We've opened up and extended in a variety of ways. And in the second half, we'll be taking the body through a series of different postures and positions and movements, some of them in the standing and balanced positions. Until then, namaste.